Hi, my name is Adrian Birrueta. I was born and raised here in Chicago, Illinois. Haven't lived anywhere else. Uh, I I got into art pretty much very young. I always saw my mom making things. She knitted me something really cute. It had a picture of a little dude with like a ladder on it and like a little paintbrush, and she gave that to me for my birthday. Uh, so very early, I learned that art can pretty much make anything happen because I grew up not having a lot of money, pretty broke, pretty poor. So to see her make something like that was only worth a few dollars, worth like a lot to me, that really got me going at a really young age. But then I started meeting more and more people almost miraculously uh, throughout my life. I met artists who, there's a really cool artist, his name's Jeff Zimmerman. He paints murals in Pilsen. He has a lot of the paintings that are in Pilsen are his, but he does a lot of paintings in other places in the city. Uh, he painted my mom on one of the murals, and that was like another moment, another christening, so to speak. When I saw someone make something out of nothing and they used art to do it, and it was always that mess. I was young, but that message drove itself into my subconscious very early. So I decided to jump on that feeling because that was worth more to me than a lot of other stuff. And the value of things is something that's kind of like the forefront of your focus when you grow up without a lot of resources. When I make art, or when I express anything with it, it's always based on how I feel. You might go out to it's like picking what you want to eat. Today might not feel like the same thing you did yesterday. And when you're painting something or making anything, it depends on where you're at in your life, and that'll reflect what you choose to create. When I'm mad as hell, I make a bunch of really spooky, crazy, scary stuff. But also when I'm inspired to create change, I'll make things that look spooky and scary. But when I'm in a neutral place or when I'm in a happy place, I tend to paint animals and different things like that. My subconscious is reflected in my artwork. Other people don't do that, but that's what I do. I spoke about earlier who inspired me, but I'll just put in particular. First, it was my mom when she did that for me. Second, it was Jeff Zimmerman when I saw him painting stuff. My uncles were also painting with him in the same community program too, so everyone was involved. And then the third person was my grammar school art teacher. She was one of the people who really told me, hey, you got something here, you could focus on it, you could really make something out of it. Then in high school, I had an amazing art teacher. She was very Scrooge McDuck about things, She kind of told me that my work needed to be elevated. I took it kind of personal when she told me that, but that's when I learned a very valuable lesson. If someone wants to challenge you, they usually want to see you do your best, not because they're just yanking your chain. Usually. Sometimes people like to, yank your chain. I bring a piece together randomly. It's always a different process. If I'm sitting somewhere and I don't have a piece of paper, I'll grab a napkin and just start jotting down ideas. If I hear something that triggers a memory, it's absolutely everything. It's almost like I'm always at the office, so to speak, right? Where a musician would have to have their guitar or their drum set or something like that. I can make my drum set or my guitar out of a pencil, a piece of paper, a napkin, whatever. It's much more different than an individual who uses an instrument or something like that. Most artists can use anything as an instrument. So there's a quick story about this piece. My grandma found this in the alley. It was just in the garbage, and she gave it to me. So, with everything that I've been talking about, I love when people do that because this could have just been sitting in the alley. This was actually just a mirror back here. With everything that I've taught myself and with everything that people have taught me, I grabbed this mirror and I made it into something that I think is cute. Other people think is nice too. But this is the power of art. You can convert garbage, something that somebody might consider garbage, or something left in the alley, you can convert it into something that causes people to think, causes people to smile, maybe wonder something, or maybe even inspire them to do their own artwork. And that's why I love art. That's like one of the biggest things that I try to teach when I do art or anything, is that there is no limit. You can pretty much do anything with art. I mean, this is a piece of glass. Back here is glass. This is like glass paint, and it's see-through, and on top is acrylic paint. And then if you turn it around too, at different angles, you can see different little things in here. Chicago is a macrocosmos and a microcosmos at the exact same time. If you look at every building has a compartment. In that compartment exist individuals. Inside of those individuals are so many ideas. Each building across the city represents that idea. So for me to say that I've been here, I've been there, I've been there, is only summarizing the compacted experiences in those places. I could never describe art in Chicago, because art in Chicago is pretty much describing people in Chicago. How do you describe the food in Chicago? Well, you gotta break it down into neighborhoods. The same thing, or not only neighborhoods, just ethnicities. The same thing with art. You can't really be in touch with everything that art is in Chicago, because it's so deep. There's so many people. You can go to the south side and find a movement. East side, west side, no matter where you go, north side. Everyone has something to do with art. And if you want to know something about each place that does art, you have to go there and get involved. And the north side is not the same as the south side is not the same as the east or the west. So you want to know something, go there, talk to them. Because me, I've only been here, and there, and that's only a fraction of what happens in Chicago. I try to challenge myself to use different materials, but I really I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so like graffiti was always something that stood out to me, and because of that, I always liked the bright color of it and the bold lines and just the random contrast of something so wild in a landscape of buildings, you know? Like there was like this wild image just breaking out of the wall, telling you, hey, look at me, and always with style and finesse, or sometimes just scribbles, but still. It always stood out to me. So the way the graffiti looks has always impacted how I present something. I always want to use vivid, vibrant colors and bold lines, and try to say the most by using a simple format, you know, not trying to convolute an image so much by incorporating too many ideas. Or if I do incorporate a lot of ideas, then I oversaturate it with ideas, and that's kind of what graffiti does. So because of that, I like acrylics, I like paint markers, I like oil markers. I don't like pastels, because anything that's like sticky or runny that doesn't dry fast, I don't vibe with it. I don't know, I don't like being like having a mess all over, and I don't like how long things like that take to dry. So for me, I love the almost like, it's weird, it's like you're like literally ripping that from your imagination onto paper when you're using a marker, because it's just like, it's so bold, it's so permanent, and then the smell is just, it's crazy. That's why I like those, because it makes me feel like I'm like passing down the legacy of graffiti artists, you know, but like legally, you know, because they break a lot of rules. But I love graffiti. It's inspired me to make stuff the way that I do. The end game of any work that I make is to inspire people. The message is every piece that I make. It's not one sentence. I can't sit here and be like, this is what my art's about, because then that would be like telling you, this is what I'm about. When anyone's art, when any individual, is so much more than the words that they choose. And if you want to take the time to really see what my message is, or what anyone's message is, you just have to really take the time to look at every little picture, read every little quote, and then you'll be involved in what that art is. I could tell you what it is, but when we share that experience, that's what art is. All this that I'm talking about, that's my message. This whole video, everything that I've ever said, all of that, my life is my message. And if you want to know what that is, well then check out my art, talk to me, let's do it, you know?
Cold as the cell gets bigger, and I ain't gonna lie, I flirt with the trigger. Violet teeth, I'm stiff off the pruno. This hard work shit is tough on Uno. Tough on all, tough on many. Tough when you ain't even got a penny. But fuck that shit, I ain't here to complain. I absorb the struggle and toughen from pain. I'm all passion, like spoken palabra. Voy a ladrar until I'm the cabra. Finna bang on the NPC like it's a set of an enemy. And I rep my set, that's the AP. And I rep my code, 773. And I rep my town, that Chi City. Gave birth to my grit and ferocity.